This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Right. So in our class yesterday evening, so we just had a discussion on what is a object-oriented programming, and then we also discussed about what is class, what is object, and we also had some examples on what is object, what is class, how we can create the object, how we can create the class. And I have shown you different examples of how in real time the classes will be created and for what kind of system. Now, for example, bank is there, so banking projects, okay, so product like Amazon and all. So sales projects are like this. So we will have various projects that will be creating the classes and how we can create the objects. So generally, you have been creating the objects. Okay, so you have been creating the objects. So basically, this is the object. So the object which is being referenced by LST. Okay, so object is which is being referenced by LST. Okay, so now 589 is going into LST, 7917 is going into LST. Okay, so like this, so we will have the objects, but in our classes. So basically, what are these? These are the predefined classes. Okay, so these are the predefined classes. So everything in Python. So Python is completely object-oriented programming language. Okay, as Python is completely object-oriented programming language, so we can say that. So we can say that everything is an object. Okay, so we can say that everything is an object in Python. Okay, so everything is an object in Python. Okay, so that is how you will talk about this. And then we also had some of the principles listed. So what are those principles of object-oriented programming? Basically inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation, and all. So we'll talk about this later. So and we were also talking about the class variables, the local variables, class methods, and the instance methods. So what were the class variables? The variables which are declared inside the class. Okay, the variables which are declared inside the class are known as the class variables. And how we can access those class variables? With the help of the class name directly. Okay, so with the help of the class name directly, we can access. Okay, so we can access. Okay, so you can also access those variables with the help of the reference, with the help of the reference. Okay, so E1 is basically the reference here. Okay, so we can access in that way. Okay, and you can create various objects basically. So various objects. Okay, so named by the references. Okay, named by the references. Okay, so in that way you can access. And then we had a discussion on local variables. So whenever I say local variable, the variables which are declared inside the method basically. So method is nothing but a function literally. Okay, so method is nothing but a function, but here method will be inside the class. So when we call it as a method, if the function declared inside the class. So understand the difference. Okay, so method is nothing but a function declared inside the class. Okay, so inside the class. So that is what the point here. Okay, and then we talk about the class methods. So whenever we are talking about the class methods here, so class methods are the methods which are declared inside the class, which are declared inside the class. Okay, and we can reference them by using the employee class directly. Okay, so where is this display method? Display method is there inside the employee class. Display method is available where inside the employee class. Inside the employee class, you will have the display method. Okay, so you'll have the display method. So in that way, you can see. Okay, so if you are trying to access the display method by using E1, it will fail. Why, sir, it is failing? Because so this is not a instance method. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is the instance method. Okay, so what we are going to talk about now, we are going to talk about, so in today's session, we will be talking about instance methods, comma, instance variables, and we'll also be talking about constructors. So our class today will be of these things. Okay, so instance methods, instance variables, and the constructors. So first we'll talk about the instance methods, and then we will talk about the instance variables. Okay, why I'm talking about instance variable after the instance methods, you will get to know. So let me just increase the font a bit so that everyone can look at it easily. Okay, instance methods. So whenever I say instance methods, the methods declared inside the class. Okay, so the methods declared inside the class. What are instance methods here? The methods declared inside the class. Okay, so whenever we talk about instance methods, the methods declared inside the class. Okay, so what are instance methods here? The methods declared inside the class. Okay, so inside the class with the first parameter as self, with the first parameter as self. Okay, so we will have a self parameter. Okay, so we'll have a self parameter. A self parameter. Okay, I'll use the word argument instead of parameter because that is the general terminology we use. So class with the first argument as self. The self argument. Okay, so the self argument. So self argument do not require a value to be passed. Okay, so value to be passed. Okay, so do not require a value to be passed. Okay, so we don't require any value to be passed. Okay, so we do not require any value to be passed. Okay, so for a self argument, we do not require any value to be passed. So there is no requirement of value to be passed. Okay, so from the method call. So from the method call. Okay, so if you remember, yesterday we were doing the call. Okay, so in this call, what we were saying 7891 Santosh and 12589. So we are passing 7891 to E. We are passing Santosh to N. We are passing 12589 to S. Okay, so what we are doing here basically, we are passing. So we are passing the values. Okay, so we are passing the values. So now we declare a argument. Okay, so the argument will be self, and what is not required, I'm telling you, value passing is not required. So example. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's take an example of a class product. Okay, so every time we will create new classes. Okay, so class product. Okay, so we will create a class product. Okay, so we'll create a class product. Okay, so the product, now what we are going to do, so we are going to have a class product. We will have def. Okay, so we will not create any class variables here. So we will say set details of the product. Okay, so we are going to set the details of the product. So what we are going to say here, we are going to say self. Okay, let me create this in Spider. So let me create this in Spider. Okay, so class product. Okay, so what we are going to create now, we are going to create a class product. Okay, set details. Okay, so self will be the first variable, so first argument. Self will be the first argument. Okay, so set details, self will be the first argument. And now I will say product number, product name, and product price. Okay, so what I'm saying here, product number, product name, product price. Okay, so okay, I'll say details. Okay, so I'll say details, I'll not say set. Okay, so now we will print the values. So what are the values that will print? We will print PNO. So we will print. Okay, now you will ask me, sir, what are these variables? So these variables are also local variables. Okay, so remember that point. So these are also local variables only because they are local to details. Okay, so I'll write that point here so that you can remember for a long time. So what are PNO, P name and P price here? PNO, P name and P price are said to be local variables only. Are said to be local variables only. So don't think that if we create them inside here only, they will be local. No, they will be local if you create them here also. Okay, so print PNO. Then I will say print P name. Okay, so print P name and I will say print P price. Okay, so DF details, self, PNO, P name, P price. So PNO, P name and P price. Okay, so what are we doing here? So we are going for creating the details method which will take self. Okay, so what is self? What is self saying? Self is saying that I am a, so what is self saying? Self, if we give here, it will say that details is the instance. So details will be what? Details will be an instance method. Details will be an instance method. Okay, so details will be an instance method. Okay, now how to call this? Okay, so to call this, okay, so the instance methods can be called using the class reference variable. Using what? Using the class reference variable. So what we are going to do now? So we are going to use the instance methods. Okay, so we are going to use the class reference variable to call the instance methods. So the instance methods can be called using the class reference variable. Okay, so how we will call it, sir? Okay, so see here. Now come outside the class. Okay, so come outside the class. Now create P1 is equal to product. Okay, so P1 is equal to product. So what you're creating here, you are creating a reference instance basically. So this is the instance which is reference to P1. So P1 is equal to product. So P1 is equal to product. So what is P1 over here? So P1 is going to be, so P1 is going to be the reference variable. Okay, so which is going to call these details. Now, for example, I will say details. So now if you observe here, so details, it is asking you to go for PNO, P name and P price. So it is not asking you to give a value for self. Why it is not asking? Because self do not require any value. What self will say? Self will say that, hey boss, I am an instance method. No need to pass any value. No need to pass any value. So details, so PNO. So PNO means I will say the product number. So product name, I will say laptop, and the product price, I will say something like 56923. Okay, so laptop, the price of the laptop is going to be 56923. Okay, so now first you have to run the class. Without running the class, nothing will happen. Okay, so then you create the object and see somebody is saying P1 is object. I'm not saying it is wrong. Okay, so but exactly programmer should say P1 is the reference variable. So programmer like you and like me should say this is the reference variable. Okay, so if somebody is saying it is an object, don't argue with them. So it is object only. But exactly speaking, this is a reference. This is a reference which is storing the object. Okay, so don't get confused. So now I will run details. Now you see, so you got the details printed. You got the details printed. So did you get the details printed? Yes. Why you got the details printed? Because 1011 laptop 56923. So we are passing. See, we gave four parameters here. Okay, we gave four parameters here in simple words. But self, I'm not passing any value. Why? Because not required. So self is the instance method. So we don't require any value to be passed. Okay, so in that way, you look at the instance method. So what do you look at? You look at the instance methods. Okay, so instance methods using which reference variable? Using the class reference variable. Okay, so where is 1011 going? So 1011 is going into PNO. Laptop is going into P name. So 56923 is going into P price. Okay, so in that way you look at the values getting passed. Okay, so 1011, okay, going to PNO, laptop going to P name, 5693 going to P price. So self is not going to take any value. Why self is not going to take any value? Because self will tell that it is an instance method. So it is not that it is not a not something like the value to be passed. Okay. So in that way you are looking at the instance methods. Okay. So so these are the instance methods for you. So whenever I am talking about the instance method, so in this way you need to check it out. Okay. So that's how we look at the instance methods. Okay. Now coming to the instance variables. So whenever I'm talking about the instance variables, whenever I'm talking about the instance variables, okay, so instance variables, okay, so the variables you create the local variables, but we create them using self. We access them using self basically. Okay, the variables, okay, so declared inside the methods, inside the instance methods, okay, or else I'll simply say methods. Okay, I'll not get confused. I'll not be confusing you also. So the variables declared inside the methods with the help of a self, with the help of a self, okay, like below. Okay, so how? So self dot, okay, so variable name, self dot variable name, self dot variable name. Okay, so self dot variable name. Okay, so how we can go for this? So we go for the self dot variable name. So like this we will create. Okay, now the same program. Okay, now what we'll do is we will say okay, so we will go for, okay, so product name, product price. Okay, so we will not declare here. Okay, so we will say set. Okay, so we will say set details. So we will say set details. So set details. So self. Okay, so set details. So what I will say over here, I will say self dot product number is equal to, so self dot product number is equal to 1011. Self dot product name is equal to laptop. Self dot product price is equal to, okay, I'll give something. Okay, right. Now, now let's take off this. Now, what is the advantage of this? Okay, so generally, now for example, see, now for example, if I use something like P location, let's say, so P location, I'll say Hyderabad. Okay, so simply I'm saying, I'll say Hyderabad, right? So just sample I'm saying. Now, if you observe here, DEF, okay, so DEF get details. So observe the point here. If somebody is writing, don't write. So self, okay. Now what I will do here is I will print uh, self dot PNO. Okay. So what I'm printing here, I'm printing self dot PNO. Okay, I'm printing self dot PNO. I'm printing, okay, I'm printing self dot P name. I'm printing self dot P price. Okay, so what I'm printing here, I'm printing self.pno, self.pno, self.pname, self.pprice, and I will say print of. Okay, so now what is PLOC? So PLOC is a local variable. Okay, so it's a local variable, isn't it? So it's a local variable. And what about PNO, PName, and PPrice? So these are the instance variables. So these are the instance variables, isn't it? So these are which variables? These are the instance variables. So instance variables. Okay, so these are the instance variables. So this is a local variable and this is an instance variable. So cell.po, cell.pname, cell.pprice. So these are the instance variables and this is a local variable. This is a local variable. Okay. Now, how we can access the local variable? So we generally access the local variable by saying PLOC. If you are accessing this PLOC here, it's okay. But I will try to access that PLOC here. Now see the error. What it is saying? It is saying, hey boss, undefined. So what it is saying? Undefined name PLOC. What is the error here? The error is undefined PLOC. So undefined PLOC. What is the point here? It is undefined PLOC. Why I am getting undefined PLOC here? Undefined PLOC because PLOC is the member of whom? Is a member of the set details. Okay. So self.pno is a member of the set details only, no? So then how can we access this? How can we access? Because instance variables can be accessed throughout the class. Okay, so in all the methods. Okay, so that's what the point. So that point I want to make it now. Okay, so now what is the point I told you here? The point is we can access the instance variable in all the methods. So set details, get details, you have 10 methods, no problem. So you can access all these things. You can access all these things. So that's the point here. Okay. So that's how we can define. Okay. So what we can say here, instance variables can be accessed in all the methods of the class. Sorry. So instance methods can be accessed in all the methods of the class. Okay, so what I'm talking about here, instance variables can be accessed in all the methods of the class, whereas the local variables can be accessed only within the local variables can be accessed only within the method, within its method only, within its method only. Okay, so that's the point here. Okay, instance variables can be accessed in all the methods of the class, whereas the local variables can be accessed only within its method only. So that's the point here. Okay, right. So this is the proof. Okay, so what is the proof here? Who is PLOC? PLOC is local variable to whom? Local variable to set details. Local variable to set details method. Set details method. So PLOC cannot be accessed over here. Okay, so that's what the point. Okay, so undefined PLOC as it is not the member. It is not the member of get details method. Get details method, as it is not the member of the get details method. Okay, right. So that is why we cannot access. So you are getting the error. So as you are getting the error, okay. So what is that you will get when you are saying this? Okay. So now, for example, if you are saying p1 dot set details. Okay, so you are saying p1 dot set details, and p1 dot set details will be fine because there is no error there. But when you are saying p1 dot get details, So p1 dot get details. So what will happen over here? So you will see the name error. So what is the point here? You will get the name error. Okay. So of course here also it is showing, but anyhow I wanted to show you. So in this way you are looking at the errors also. Understanding errors is also very, very important. In your project, when you are working, understanding the errors also becomes very, very important. If you don't understand the errors, so then it will be difficult. Okay. So name error PLOC is not defined. Why it is not defined? Because of this only. Okay. So in this way, you are looking at the things. Okay. So the variable declared inside the method with the help of a cell. Okay. So name PLOC is not defined. Why? Because it is a part of the other thing. Okay. So in that way, you are looking at the point. Okay. So you're looking at the point. Okay. Right. So now how to correct this? To correct this, so we can just remove this from here. Okay. And don't try to access it over here. Okay. So this is the correct example for the instance variables. Okay, correct example for which variables? Instance variables. Okay, so in this way, you are going to access. Okay, so in this way, you are going to access all the things. Access all the things. Okay, so this is the right way to access the instance variables. Right way to access the instance variables. Okay, so that's how you are looking at the instance variables. Okay, so this is instance variables for you. So now the difference between the local variables and the instance variables you might have got. Okay, so that's how we need to look at the instance variables. So whenever we say instance variables, self come into the picture. Okay, whenever you talk about instance methods, self come into the picture. So self will be the first parameter. Self will be the first parameter. Always remember that. Okay. So that's how you look at the things. Okay. So whenever we are talking about the instance variables, instance methods, so these are the things that you have to remember. Okay. So, right. So now if I uh, go for, okay, let's finish the constructor and then I'll show you all of them in one particular class. Okay, construct. Okay, so what we are talking about here? So we are talking about constructors. So constructors are really, really important. Okay, so the constructors are, so what are constructors are? Constructors are the special methods. So constructors are the special methods. So what are constructors here? The constructors are the special methods. Okay. So constructors are the special methods. Okay. Constructors are the special methods. Okay. So what are constructors? The constructors are the special methods in the Java sorry. So uh, in the Python class, Okay, so declared as or defined by using the name underscore init underscore. Okay, constructors are the special methods in the Python class defined by using the name underscore init underscore. So self becomes important here. Self is compulsory. And you will have the arguments. You will have the arguments. Okay, so self, you will have the arguments. So constructors are special methods in the Python class defined by name init. So self will be there and arguments will be there. Okay, so it is specially used for instantiation. It is specially used for which purpose? Instantiation purpose. Okay, so it is specially used for instantiation. Okay, so it is specially used for the instantiation. So whenever you are uh, giving the values for the first time and all. So constructor will be the one responsible for it. Okay. So it is specially used for instantiation. Okay. Right. Now it can be called, it can be called implicitly. It can be called implicitly. No explicit calling is required. It can be called implicitly whenever the object is created. Whenever the object is created. So whenever you create the object, okay? Whenever you create the object, so it will be implicitly created. Okay? It will be implicitly created. Okay, so how and all we will see now. Okay. Now, okay, so we have worked with the product class, and now let's say we will go for the bank class. Okay, so we'll go for the bank class. So class bank. So whenever we say bank here, so now let me create a constructor. How to create the constructor? So init. So you create self is compulsory. So and you can have the arguments. Now, for example, bank ID, bank name, bank location. Okay, so bank ID, bank name, and bank location. Okay, so bank ID, bank name, and bank location. So bank ID like IFSC, something like that. Okay, now I will say, now what are BID, BName, and BLOC? So they are the local variables. They are the local variables. Okay, so BID. Okay, so self dot BID is equal to, now what is self.BID? Self.BID is the local variable, is the instance variable which is declared inside the method. So this BID, BName and BLOC are the local variables for init, and self.BID, self.BName, self.BLocation are the instance variable. Why, sir? Why you are doing like that? I'll tell you. Okay. So self.bid, okay, is equal to bid. So what is this bid, sir? Bid, bname, BLOC must be given from the call. Must be given from the call. Okay. Right. So let me make you understand. So self dot bname is equal to bname. Okay. Self dot bname is equal to bname. And here also I will say self dot BLOC is equal to BLOC. Self dot BLOC is equal to BLOC. Okay, so in that way you are going for it. Okay, right. So next I will say get details. Get details. Okay, so getting the details means I'm going to get all these details. How can I get these details now? So now I'm not going to use these variables. Okay, so I'm going to use this self. Okay, so bank. So I will say print self dot bid. Okay, then I'll say print self dot bname, and I will go for uh, self dot blocation. Self dot blocation. Okay, so what I'm saying here, I'm saying self dot bid, self dot bname, self dot b location. Okay, self dot b location. Okay, so in this way you are going to deal with it. Okay, right. So now next part is calling part. So I just told you it can be called implicitly whenever the object is created. Now if I ask you how I can create the bank object. Okay, so what you'll say simply, you'll say I'll create the bank object like this. Okay, so I'll create the bank object like this. Okay, fine. Right. So now if I run bank, so if you observe, tell me what it is telling you. Okay, trying to understand the error. Okay, so what it is saying? It is saying, hey boss, whenever you are calling bank, you are calling its init method. You are calling its init method. Now, for example, okay, let's create a constructor, a demo constructor. Okay, so let's say I'll create a class demo. Okay, and I will say def init. Okay, so I'll say init, right? So I'm saying init, and then I will say print hello. I am a demo constructor. I'm a demo constructor. Okay, so what I'm saying here, I'm a demo constructor. Def underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. Hello, I'm a demo constructor. Okay, right. So now generally how you create this? So you simply will say demo. Now see, demo means who is getting called. Okay, right. So whenever I'm saying demo, now if you observe here, who is getting called here? Okay, don't worry about this. So who is getting called over here? So you can observe that hello, I am a demo constructor is getting called. Why sir? Why like that? Because so what I just told you just 10 minutes back, I told you that okay, so what I told you, it can be called okay, so you understand the point. The constructors are the special methods in the Python class defined by the name init self. You can have arguments. Okay, you can have arguments, that is different case. So it is specially used for instantiation. So what is it initializing? What are the values that are there inside? It will initialize. Okay, so it can be called implicitly when the object is created. Now what you are doing over here, you are creating the object. You are creating the object. So as you are creating the object, so you are just calling this. Okay, so you are calling this in the sense it will automatically make a call to init. Okay, so that is why you see this being printed over here. Okay, so that's the main reason, which is called here hello I'm a demo constructor is called. Why it is called? Because it is making a direct call to init. It is making a direct call to init. So underscore underscore init of self, so it is making a direct call. Okay, hello I am a demo constructor. Okay, so in this way you are making a call. Okay, so in this way you are making a call to this. Okay, so that's how you are uh, calling a constructor. Okay, so that is why I said implicitly, called implicitly. Why I'm saying called implicitly? Because demo you said, so demo it is called directly. Okay, so in that way you can look at it. Okay, so in that way you can look at it. Okay, right. So next example is for bank which is having three parameters. So now if you are saying bank means you are calling init, but init is having what? Init is having BID, BName and BLOC. Say it is saying what? Missing three required positional. It is not asking you to give self. It is asking you to give BID, BName and BLOC. Self is not no need to give this self, isn't it? No need to give this self because self is just telling that it is an instance. So what it is asking? It is asking, hey boss, give me BID, BName and BLOC. Okay, so now I will say bank and I will go for three details. What are the three details? BID, BName and BLOC. So let me say 1478, comma. So bank name. Okay, so let me say HDFC Bank. Okay, and let me go for the location. Let's say Vizag. Okay, right. So now what I'm saying 1478 HDFC and Vizag. Okay, so what I'm calling now, I'm calling. Okay, so I'm calling bank. Okay, I'm calling bank. So where that bank is going? That bank is going and giving this. Okay. Now, so now I did not give any reference. No. So then how can I call these details? So that is why I will say B1 is equal to B1 dot get details. B1 dot get details. So B1 is equal to right. So B1 dot get details. So 1478 HDFC and Vizag. Okay, so in this way you are taking care of the constructor, taking care of the constructor. So basically this is a constructor, okay, constructor without parameters. So constructor without parameters. So self you don't consider basically, okay, without arguments I will say. So without arguments, constructor without arguments. And what is this? This is a constructor with arguments. So constructor with arguments. So what basically I'm talking about? I'm talking about the constructors. Constructors are the special methods in the Python class. So defined by using this. Okay. Right. So we can have, so basically what we are doing, so we are initializing this. Okay. We are initializing this. So now there is no need to call it like you don't have to say b1 dot init method. So no need to say, okay, directly you can make a call. Okay, so that is the advantage of the constructor. Okay, so no need to write a special, no need to make a special call. Okay, so that's the way you look at the constructor. So this is all about the classes in Python. So whenever you are talking about a class, so these are the very important things. Okay, so very important things. So you need to talk about. Okay, so now if I show you a predefined class that also contains these things only. Okay, now for example, if I'm saying lst is equal to, okay, so 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so lst is equal to 3, 4, and 5. So now I'm saying, now I'm saying, let's say dir of LST. Okay, so dir of LST. So now if you observe this, so now what are all this? Append method, clear method, copy method, count method. What are all these methods? These are all the methods of which class? The LST class. These are all the methods of which class? LST class. Now, for example, if I'm saying help of LST, okay, help of LST. Now, if you observe here, see here, class methods. Okay, so static methods and all, you don't worry. So now here, so what is the class method here? So class method is get item. And if you observe, so what are all these methods? So these are all the instance methods. See, append self, clear self, copy self, count self, extend self. Why these are using self? Now, for example, if you want to use append method, okay, so what you will use? So now, if you observe this, okay, append. So if you want to append any element, so what do you do? So you will say lst dot append of 8. Okay, so lst dot append of 8 means what you are doing? You are using this append of 8 means you are passing the object. Don't worry about this. Okay, so that is just the slash, you don't worry about that. Append of 8. So what is this object here? Object is going to be this 8 means you are saying append 8 to the end of the list. So this is which method? This is an instance method. This is a instance method. So okay, now let me go for a help of, let's say hello. Okay, let me say help of hello. Okay. So if you go for hello, again here also you will see all the methods, remove self, okay, pop self and all. Okay. Now you go for a dictionary. Okay, so let's say 1 colon hi. Okay. So what you're going for, you are going for the methods. Now you see update. Okay, so update method, values method, so pop item. So what are all these? All these are the methods. All these are the methods. Okay, so all these are the methods. So in this way, everyone will have their own class methods. Okay, so class methods will be there. Okay, so and you have, now you see this is a class method. Okay, so from keys is the class method. Okay, so what is this method? This method is the class method. So directly you can use it on the directly you can use it on the this one. Okay, so directly if you try to use it, so directly I'll say from keys. Okay, so from keys. Okay, so from keys, so you can directly use it on the dictionary. Sorry, you can directly use it on the dictionary class. Okay, so dictionary class, so you can directly use it. Okay, so you can directly use it. So like this. Okay, sorry. Okay, so like this, so you can get one. Okay, so what exactly I got here? I got it. So this is how you can use the class methods and other things. Okay, now so whenever you are saying list of, okay, so for example, if you are saying list of, so list of means what you are using? You are using the constructor. You are using the constructor. So this call is going to be made to whom? This call is going to be made to the init method. So a list class, okay, so I'll just give you an idea. So when you create a list class, okay, so suppose for example, if there is a list class, okay, what it will contain? It will contain the init method. It will contain which method? It will contain the init method. So when you are saying this list, what is getting created? An empty list is getting created. Means where the call is going? The call is going to the init. Okay. So this is the way that you look at the predefined classes. Okay. So predefined classes. So in that way, you are going to deal with the things. Okay. So as I told you, so today I will complete this instance method, instance variables and constructors. So with this, we are done with the class and object discussion. So in the next session, we will be talking about, so in the next session, we will be talking about the principles. So principles of object-oriented programming. So how inheritance is applied, how these things are applied and all. Okay. Right. So hopefully everyone understood. Anyone having any doubts, any questions? Shirisha, Shekhar, Narsima, Pawan, Saujanya, Rasika. Anyone having any questions, any doubts? You can ask me right now. I think you will not have 8 o'clock class now. So your new timings will be updated to you. Okay. You can enjoy the IPL matches. I think from the past 2 days you did not enjoy the IPL matches. So from today you can enjoy, no problem. Okay. Yeah. Anyone, any doubts? Sirisha, Shekhar, Narsimha, Pawan, Saujanya,
No, sir.
Rasika.
Yes.
Okay, clear. Right. You can go through the recording. I'll send you the recording. Okay. So I hope you got yesterday's recording also.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Fine, fine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great weekend. So we will meet again on Monday. Timing will be updated. So if you want to come offline also, you can come. I'm available. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Hey, yeah. Yeah. Pawan, want to say anything? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.